Yes,
so
sir.
Matthew Stafford is a Ram again.
Yay.
It was, it's funny.
He's the reason for optimism.
A huge part of the reason why.
Yes, he is.
And in retrospect, I was always more optimistic than not that he was going to come back. But once it got done, it's like, well, yeah, where was he going to go? And I know that there was some money to be made other places, but he's made a lot of money, and he's never struck me as somebody who is a mercenary exclusively for money.
Where could he have gone? Las Vegas?
Yeah, but probably not a
Jets.
very good team, a lousy team.
But that's where he could have gone.
That's what I mean. But when you look back on it, does he want to go be on a garbage team for a few extra $1 million that he's never going to spend?
For a minute, we didn't know.
Yeah.
And if he chose to go the ski mask route at the end, we wouldn't blame him. He won the Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
You owe the city nothing.
I don't know if I wouldn't have blamed him, but I would have been surprised that were his choice, because never once have I thought he's anything other than wildly competitive.
With you. But the cash out is always an option.
Yeah. I get that. So
you got artists that sell their catalogs.
Yeah.
Cash out is always an option.
4 girls, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of college.
That's a lot of college, a lot of weddings.
I think he's good. I think 300 as expensive as college and weddings can be, I feel like you could cover the expenses with the $300 million he's made.
Right. I feel
like he's good.
But he is competitive, and the reason that we are all optimistic and very, very happy right now. What did you call that? The poll that was out?
Optimism poll.
The most optimistic.
The Action News had an optimism poll.
And the Rams were number 1.
Yeah, 90% of the Rams fans polled were very optimistic about the team's future.
I would say 100% of that is based on the fact that Stafford's your quarterback for the next 2 seasons.
Is he here for the next 2 seasons?
We'll see. That's what the deal is. It's like basically 2 years, $80 million. That's how I understood it. $40 million a year.
It looks like the way NFL contracts are structured is always a little Byzantine. It's a little hard to figure out exactly what's going on. But
I think that's how it works out. Yeah.
It feels like if they wanted out at the end of a year, they could get out at the end of a year.
Well, technically speaking, when you think of the NFL and age matters and being on the wrong side of 30, regardless of position, the Rams are actually crazy to be spending that much money on a quarterback that old. But that tells you how good he is and how competitive he is. When you don't let go of people like that. On a whim.
It depends on what you're. If you said the Rams are spending, $40 million a year on a 37-year-old quarterback, it's like, dude, you're out of your mind.
You're crazy.
If you said the Rams are spending $40 million a year on one of the 8 best quarterbacks in the league, you're like, great.
And that's what you're saying.
And that's what he is. So, does what happened between now and the end of January, early February next year inform the year after that? Like if they go on a run and win, or if they, let's say, look, not impossible, it's the NFL. Let's say you have a down year, you win 6 or 7 games, you don't even make the playoffs.
Down year takes care of itself.
That's we're on to the next thing.
Yes. If you have a great season, and this could be the problem. If he's great and you're great, let's say you have a magical run and you're in the Super Bowl and you win it. Then you're going to have to start to do some accounting. Why were you so good? And I bet most of those guys are going to be coming up for new contracts. So how do we pay everyone to keep them together?
You can't.
Exactly, especially when you're paying one guy 15, 20% of your cap, and he's 38 years old. There might be nothing you can do after this
It's
year.
almost like the two ends of the spectrum take care of themselves.
Yes.
If you have a down year and you miss the playoffs, it's like, okay, we need to start spending money in other places and get a little younger.
Right.
And that's an easy one to make, I think. Win the Super Bowl. That's 2 Super Bowls in a relatively short period of time.
Kyron balled out. Puka balled out. Verse balled out. They're all Pro Bowlers.
From the Rams,
on
all
their
of that.
first deal.
But for Matthew Stafford, that might be you know what? It's never going to get any better than this.
Oh, right out into the sunset moment.
Right off into the sunset.
It'll never get any better than this, and you walk right onto a studio show,
where
and there you go.
Where it gets complicated, or at least potentially complicated, you get to the NFC Championship game, you get to the Super Bowl, and you lose, but it's not because of anything that you did wrong or you did underperform. The other guy made a 52-yard field goal.
Saquon again.
Yeah,
in
just,
the NFC
they made a
yeah.
long kick, or they made one more play than you do, but you are right there. That's where it's like, do you run it back again?
There is a third option to this, but it's the one that no one ever exercises because players don't go backwards. You can always play for less.
Yeah,
you don't have to be paid market value. If you're that close, and we want to keep this group together and run it back.
Is there precedent? Has anybody ever done that?
No one's going backwards. The PA would barbecue you.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
So
taking
then that's
pay cuts.
not really an option.
But you can always say, I think Brady did it.
Yeah.
Brady wasn't the highest paid guy for years in New England.
But that was also with the understanding I'm going to get it on the back end.
Of course.
Yeah, there's no back end anymore here.
But you can always take less. You could take less than market value and go play for that if you want to run it back. But he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
No quarterback will ever do that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And they clearly did not see anything in the draft that tickled their fancy this year because they had ample opportunity to take quarterbacks and they chose not to.
But there's some younger guys coming out next season. And like you said, once Matthew Stafford retires, I'm sure he's going to care about LA, care about the Rams, but he's not going to care what happens to the roster.
Right.
And at some point, you're going to have to protect your roster and your franchise and redraft. And there's some good guys coming out in next year's draft.
I want to talk about that next because do we get the next quarterback right away or do we get a guy for a while before you get the next guy? That's coming up. It's Travis DeMarco, 710 ESPN.